We've been taught for centuries, Zimbo, that we are nothing but niggers and Negroes, the bottom of society. But the Bible says we're holy, we are special, and we are above all people. It's time we start seeing each other like that. But because they have destroyed us in slavery, we can't see that. Give me that 1 Peter 2:9. I'm going to show you. Now I'm going to go to the New Testament. I'm going to go to the New Testament for the Christians.
Let me just add, I feel like
yes,
it's the same thing that I said to my mom. The importance in it is once you see that in yourself, you start to carry that energy, and and then you become that way. And then because I've been through this, I've been through the journey that I'm explaining. Like when I used to see myself as a nigger, if I can use that word, like I walked and carried that energy. Then when I started to learn who I truly am, and I started to walk and carry with that energy, even to the point where people, like I can go places, and I've gone places and walked into the building. And so if I'm going to work in a school, and I've gone into work in a school, and one of the parents would say, "Oh we've got royalty in the building," and that's only because I've taken my power, in the sense of I walk with the knowledge of who I am, and I carry it with me, and I speak like that. I act that way. I don't act any lesser. So I think it's important that we know that we have this. We know who we are, because then we're going to carry it. If we believe we're niggers and Negroes, we're going to carry and walk with that energy, and that's what we're seeing today, in the sense of our culture, the music, everything. It's because we're carrying that energy.
Yes.
I'll let you carry.
Do you remember that during the time of the turbulent 60s, when our people, I don't know if they did it in Europe, but I know in America, they had to walk. We walked around with signs saying, "I am a man." We have some of those images where we had, because remember, they considered us 3/5 of a man. You remember that time? It's in many of the history books, Zimbo. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any of those images?
It was a bit different for us in the Caribbean and in the UK and stuff like that.
Right.
So we was a bit. I feel like we was kind of rebellious. So we was warring. We was on some. You get what I'm trying to say? It was a bit different. But that's when I look at that, I just take it because from my belief or from my knowledge, we're from the tribe of Benjamin. The tribe of Benjamins were the warriors, and I can still see that trait within the people of the Caribbean and the people of Jamaica. So I kind of take it I kind of see it as that, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it makes sense. Now, remember what we just read about thou art a holy people, special people, above all nations upon the face of the earth. Now I'm going to go to the New Testament, where the Apostle Peter says something very similar, but he adds something. Read that 1 Peter 2:9 and 10.
1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people.
Come on.
That ye should show forth the praises of him who had called you out of the darkness into his marvelous light.
Now listen to this. Go ahead.
Which in time past were not a people.
Which in time past were not a people. What you're seeing on the screen, we were not a people. We had to prove we were men. They made us into brute beasts. Okay. It happened during a time of Greece and Rome and in America, where they destroyed our people. Read verse 10 again.
Which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of God.
Why are we now the people of God? Because we're waking up. We're waking up. We're waking up. That's what Peter was saying. Go ahead.
Which had not obtained mercy.
During the time of slavery, it seemed like God was unmerciful towards us. Go ahead.
But now have obtained mercy.
But now we've obtained mercy through the death of Christ, the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, the Black Messiah. You can take that off the screen now. So we were at one time not a people, Zimbo. Now we're coming back and people are mad, like the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. They're mad with me and brothers with me, saying, you can't say that you're the Jews. That's anti-Semitic. You're hateful. You're rape. We're like, wait a minute. We can prove we're the Jews. We can prove we're the Israelites of the Bible. Sit down with us. Talk with us. We'll prove it to the world. So what they do is put out ads against us and do videos against us, saying that we murder people, we hate everybody. They're building propaganda against those that know they're Israelites. And it's not just the Anti-Defamation League. You got the Southern Poverty Law Center. You got the NAACP. By the way, the NAACP is a Jewish organization. If the majority of the founding members were so-called Caucasian Jewish people, not our people. Many people that think the NAACP is a black organization. No. Okay. That was built by Jewish people for Jewish people. Okay. So go ahead, Zimbo. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was just having a thought. It's gone out my head now. But
sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Oh, to be fair, so even when we're talking about European Jews, I more just use the term Ashkenazi Jews, because when you look back in history, Ashkenazis were people from Europe who converted to Judaism, and I believe many of them will have common knowledge of that, in the sense of they actually know that it was through a conversion. And when I have conversations with some of them, because I have people that I work with that have a Jewish background and things like that, and I believe they know.
Yes, they do know.
I believe they know. And it's I kind of just deal with it like that, in the sense of, like, if you know the history, then yeah, you can say you're Ashkenazi Jews or Jewish, and those are the people that converted to Judaism in a certain point in time.
Yes, and just saying that here in the States now, it's becoming they call it anti-Semitic, and they're trying to make it hate speech to get brothers arrested for even saying, like, reading Revelation 2:9, Revelation chapter 3 verse. Hey, can we read that real quick? Revelation 2:9. I just love hearing it. I like to hear it again. This is for our converted Ashkenazis out there, or Sephardi.
Revelation chapter 2 verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty.
Talking to the real black Jews. Go ahead.
But thou art rich.
We are rich. Go ahead.
And I know the blasphemy of them.
The blasphemy of them.
Which say they are Jews and are not.
What are they?
But are the synagogue of Satan.
So just reading that now, they're trying to make laws saying that is to be outlawed. Okay. This is how they're going to usher in the coming tribulation. Let's read on. Watch the next verse.
Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer.
Christ said, fear none of those things which we shall suffer.
Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison.
The devil shall cast some of you into prison. That's the same ones that call themselves Jews. That's Rome at that time. Go ahead.
That ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death.
Christ said, be faithful unto death. So we know what is coming, as it was during the past, during the time that John the Revelator wrote that, it occurred. It's going to happen again. And it's going to be on a global level. My job is to warn everybody. I'm just warning all our people as we wake up. This white man, who some of you think is your friend, he's going to come down against us with great wrath. They're not going to let the children of God rise up. That's what they don't want. But it's too late. We're rising up. They're going to have to lay hands on us. That's what's all that's going to happen.
Okay, can I ask a question? So, and I don't really want to stick on the topic of race, but do you think that's all white people then? Because from my perspective, I feel like we would have the support of a few, maybe many, because for me, or from what I see, the war is with, or it's really like the rulers of the world against everyone else.
That's what you think?
That's just from what I see.
Okay.
From my life experience. Okay. It's and even just from my life experience and things that I've seen, it's like we have the elite or the people running the world, and they literally keep everyone down, whether they're black, white, Asian, whatever. They don't. It's a thing of class rather than race.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is show you what the Bible says. That's all I could do. Now, you had many converts before that wanted to help the children of Israel in Bible. Let's get Ezra, the book of Ezra, chapter 4. And we are going to read verse 4 and wait, is that what I want? Bear with me. Bear with me. Hold on. Start at verse 1.
Ezra chapter 4, verse 1. Now, when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Lord God of Israel, then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chiefs of the fathers, and said unto them, Let us build with you, for we seek your God, as ye do, and we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Esarhaddon, king of Ashur, which brought us up hither.
So they wanted to assist us. They wanted to help us. Watch what the forefathers said. Go ahead.
But Zerubbabel and Joshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, Ye have nothing to do with us to build an house unto our God, but we ourselves together will build unto the Lord God of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, had commanded us.
So the forefathers said, no, you cannot help us, because we had just gotten released from the Persian captivity. Now, somebody might say, well, what about in the New Testament? Didn't they help? Well, let's go to 1 Corinthians 6. Watch what Christ said through Paul. Okay. 1 Corinthians, let me look at it real quick. It's 2 Corinthians. I apologize. 2 Corinthians 6, 17.
2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17. Wherefore, come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord.
Says who?
Saith the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you.
God says, come out from among them and be separate. Now, watch this. I'm going to hip you now. I'm going to hip you with something. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 10. Watch this.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness.
You see that part says, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Meaning you could have I have metal here, iron here. It's good right now. If I let this sit out, weeks go by, weeks to a month, the rust will start to form. God says that's how your enemy is. They'll be good today, but in time, their wickedness, just like the rust, will start to appear on them. Read on, watch this.
Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him.
For example, we say, hey, we want reparations. White people go, oh, I feel for you. Yes, we agree, but we have no money. But then they got money to send to $70 billion every year to Israel. They got money to give the Japanese. They got money to give to Ukraine. But for you black people, oh, yeah, we feel your pain. We do. And we understand. Even the Pope recently apologized to the Native Americans for enslaving them and colonizing them. Oh, we're sorry. This is what they do. Read that. Watch. This is what it means. Verse 11.
Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust had not been altogether wiped away.
Now, historically, Zimba, during the civil rights movement in America, Martin Luther King had many white people assisting him. These were the same. When you look up the CIA, those people worked for the CIA. They were assisting him to spy on him. These were the same people that assassinated him. When you go to Patrice Lumumba, they also had people amongst them, the Belgians, okay? Even during the time of the Congo, okay? Malcolm X, he even let his guard down, allowing when he separated from the Nation of Islam and he started to accept white people. He said, I met white Arabs, so I accept all people. Big mistake, big mistake. And we keep making the same mistake, letting our former slave masters, yeah, come on, help us. And they just sit back and watch you and report back. Remember, the term race, like when you run a race, it also goes to nations. Every nation is in a race to do what? Dominate, to rule. Don't think the Caucasian, like many of our brothers, they have white wives, okay, Caucasian wives, which God's law, Deuteronomy 7:3 and Nehemiah 13 goes against that, but they have these other women. These women, my brother, what's his name? Kanye West. Love the brother. But Kim Kardashian divorced him. He got another one. They take your money and give to their people. This is what they do. There has been no historic evidence where these people have helped us and we have surpassed and dominated. The NAACP, Jewish people helped us. They made this organization. Where are Jewish people at today? On the top, and our people are where? On the bottom. It keeps happening. We haven't learned our lesson yet, Simba.
Can I ask a question? So you said you mentioned that of it, the race, or each race is in a race for dominance. Do you think that includes us as well?
Oh yes. What the reason we want free? Okay, we want free. Our people want liberation. But I'll say this. As I'm thinking about
the difference between
a lot of our people don't. A lot of our people don't want to rule. A lot of our people's involved, as you know, and as I'm thinking about your question, their mentality is not to rule at all. Their mentality is we want to be equal. But they teach us in school that all men are created equal, which we know is not biblical. But when you look at reality, Zimba, are we really equal with white folks or China? No, we're not equal with them. We're on the bottom. Okay, there's no such thing as equality. None. All you listening right now, get that out your heads. There's no such thing as equality. God said we're above all nations. Should I call God a liar? Should I say God is a liar? No, God is true. Let God be true, but every man a liar. We got to go with what God says. He says we're above all nations, and I believe it. I know it. Okay, many of the great inventions they got here in society was started off by our people. They stole our patents. That's what they do. White man say, "Hey, you created give me something. The green light. You created the internet started by us. I can't think of the top. I gotta have a list. Light bulb thing like they go, okay. Even the automobile, they say we'll help you get it patented. Then you don't see our names on the patents at all. It's only white folks' name, because there was a time they did not allow us to do that. So many of the great inventions they stole. Even our lands and property. When Black Wall Street, Rosewood, we were becoming millionaires. What they do? They bombed us, they killed us, and they took what was ours. They keep doing it, Simba, and we keep letting them back. Oh, come help us, and we keep. When are we going to learn? We got to go what God says in this book. God says, be separate. Never trust them. We keep going, but God, some of them are nice. Okay, you go ahead with some of them are nice. Watch what happens. And then we're on the bottom again. We suck again.
I wanted to give a bit of my perspective in the sense of wanting to rule, because I'll be honest, I'm the same in the sense of I have no desire to rule, but I have no desire to be equal either. If I'm going to be honest, I just want us to have our own. That's what I want. I want us to be able to have our own freely.
Well, let me help you out, Zimba. Let me tell you what the king said. Give me Revelation 2:26. See, this is why a lot of people, especially black men, are afraid of the Bible. They get shocked when we read what's actually in here. Watch what Christ said regarding our people. Read that for me.
Revelation chapter 2, verse 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron.
We're going to rule. What? Read that part again. We shall what?
And he shall rule them with a rod of iron.
Christ said, when he come back, we're going to rule the nations with a rod of iron. Go ahead.
As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers.
We're going to break the nations for what they did to us, Zimba. Now, you got some images on the screen that you may be going, what the hell is this? White people, and you might be shocked, Zimba. Revelation 13:10. Let me show you what the king says. The King of Kings. Read that.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
That's true judgment. That is true justice. Okay, you can take it off the screen. Our people, Zimba, cannot explain justice in terms of global economics, in terms of global oppression. We cannot explain true justice. But when I read it out the Bible, people get terrified. No. That's true justice, Zimba. True justice is coming from the God of heaven and earth. There's no if. You're either going to be on God's side or on God's enemy's side. I already made my choice. I'm on God's side. And I'm going to wait for all the prophecies he said come to pass. Because guess what, Zimba? If the prophecies of slavery came to pass, and we all know it did, you better bet your bottom dollar the prophecies of us having world dominion, ruling the nation, will come to pass. It's going to happen, Zimba. Go ahead and cry. God, what are we going to say? What are you going to say? Go ahead.
Now, do you know what? To be fair, I agree. Where my thoughts?
You said but.
Yeah. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because where my thoughts are, like my thinking, exactly what I'm thinking is like, I'm not sure, or I don't believe we have that same wickedness within us to be able to enslave man with iron and chain and whip and this and that. I don't believe we have that within us.
Well, you're right. Right now we don't. Because right now, Zimba, we're so focused on hating each other, we could not rule the nations adequately. Like something small like family. Many, I won't say many, I'll say some so nobody listening gets offended. Some black men are afraid to even rule their families. Give me that 1 Timothy 3 and 6. Let me show you that, Zimba, 3 and 5. If you can't even rule your own household, there's no way you can rule the world. No way. Read that for me.
1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God?
You can't rule the church of God. You can't even, black men, we have been so effeminized. We're just so weak. And I just love everybody. You're not in a position to rule yet. This is why Jesus Christ, the black Messiah, said in John 3, verse 3, watch what he says, Zimba, is very, very important. Actually, you know what I like better? Matthew 18 and 6. I like that one better. Matthew 18 and 6. Listen, watch this, Zimba. Watch this.
Matthew chapter 18, verse 6. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones.
I'm sorry, verse 3. Verse 3.
Verse 3. And said, verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven.
Christ said we got to be converted as little children. Now, the kingdom of heaven, like in the Lord's Prayer, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So when Christ talks about the kingdom of heaven, he's talking about on earth. And except we be converted and become like children, we can't enter. What does that mean? Be converted. Give me that in Psalms. What converts us? Because if I'm a Zimba, if I'm a weak, effeminate man, if I'm a liar, a thief, an adulterer, an extortioner, what converts me? Read this, Psalms 19:7.
Psalms chapter 19, verse 7. The law of the Lord is perfect.
The law of the Lord is perfect.
Converting the soul.
Converting the soul. So in order for me to be converted, I got to follow God's law. God's law tells me when you read the scriptures, stand up manfully and show yourself a man. Rule your family. Rule your house. So I got to start with that. I got to read them laws. No other gods before me. I got to apply that. I can't worship Buddha or Allah. Thou shalt honor your father and mother. Let me honor my parents. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. These are basic things I got to apply to my life to be converted. Now I got to know world history. What happened to us as a people? Oh, we went into slavery for breaking those same laws. Christ said if he died on the cross so that we can be resurrected as a people again and rule the earth. Okay, I'm with it, Lord. I'm with you. I'm coming home. That's the brief process. Zimba.
I want to touch on something because I know a lot of men struggle with it. Now, not personally, I run my ship tight. You get what I'm trying to say? My ships run tight. But I know a lot of men find it hard to run their household because okay, it's like it's almost as if the system has found ways to either remove us from the home or take away our power within it. So for the brothers that are struggling with that or find it hard, what would you say? How could they implement more structure? How could they take leadership within their household? Because I know that's a big one for a lot of the man.
Yes.
And what do they need to do to take leadership? What kind of mindset do they need to have? Because a lot of women will say, I have this conversation with women as well, and a lot of women will say he doesn't have the mindset to govern or to be in charge of me, if that makes any sense, or to say what happens within this household. He hasn't got the right mindset. So what can the brothers do to kind of to take control, begin to take control, or take control of their household? And even if they're not within their household, take control of the environment their children are being raised in.
Well, the first thing goes back to what we just read in Matthew 18:3 about being converted according to God's law. The first thing we have to do, the individual man must fix himself first. Give me that in Ephesians 4:23. Before we can deal with the woman, we have to deal with self. Watch this.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse 23. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind.
So the Bible teaches us to be renewed in the spirit of our mind. Now, we have many flaws, Zimba. As men, we have many flaws. Give me 2 Corinthians 13:5. Watch this. It's very important.
2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. Examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves.
Self-examination, Zimba. Self-examine. What are my flaws? What are my weak characteristics according to the word of God? That's how I have to be renewed in my mind. But once I do that and I start to get cleaned up mentally, spiritually, that's going to help me understand how to deal with a woman. Now, what about the woman now? Give me that in 1 Corinthians 11:3. Read that.
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
The head of every man is Christ, the king. Go ahead.
And the head of the woman is the man.
The head of the woman is the man. Go ahead.
And the head of Christ is God.
So there is structure in God's law. God, Christ, man, woman. The woman has to be converted too. Don't get with a woman who rejects God's laws. That's the mistake. Okay, we often make. We always find that evil, rebellious, big butt woman with a big mouth who washes her behind once a week. You always get stuck with that type of a woman. No! Hey, when I went to Sierra Leone to teach this truth, I remember our sister yelled, she said, hey, I hope you brothers believe that man is the head of the house. Don't come here in Sierra Leone with that woman lead crap because we don't believe that. I was so happy, bro. I said, oh, you brought a tear to my eye. I never heard a woman yell that out before. Because in America and Europe, it's the complete opposite. And like you said, it has been conditioned and taught that way. So in order for the household to be set in order, both the man and the woman must agree with what this book says and follow it word for word. If he or she is not doing it, you're going to have nothing but chaos and divorce and alimony and child support. Oh, yeah. You know what else, Zimbo? Watch this. You know, women say, you can't judge me, right? You ever heard that? They say, man can't judge. Listen, I don't know about in Europe, in England, but I know in America, every Monday morning, family court is filled with a long line of black women taking black men to court for the white man to judge them and make them pay child support. But then they'll say you can't judge. Wait a minute, sister, you just went to the white man for him to judge me. Well, you know. That's what I say a lot. Some of these sisters, some of them know daggone good. If they can't change, that's why it's important for every man to teach. Women will either get with the program or not. And throughout the continent of Africa, I'm telling you, there's a lot of sisters, get your passports, that will submit to the word of God.
You know what? So I just wanted to touch on some of the things that you said in the sense of, I think it's very important, and things that I've experienced myself in the sense of, you said something about the mind. I'm not sure what you said before, cleanse the mind or
Yes.
renew the mind. Renew the mind. That's very important to me. And just for the brothers and sisters, I didn't learn that from the Bible. I learned that through wanting to change myself and become a better person and change my life. When I wanted to change my life, I started looking into information around how do you change your life, how do you turn your life around and things like that. And one of the most profound lessons I actually learned was your way of thinking will define the outcomes of your life, and learning that, I knew that if I wanted my life to change, if I wanted things to change, I would have to totally reshape my way of thinking. So I feel like it's very important that people actually understand that changing your way of thinking, reshaping your way of thinking is very important, and it's going to govern where you're going to go in your life.
Yes, and what you said is biblical in Proverbs 23 verse 7, if we could read that. Proverbs 23 verse 7. You got me?
Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he.
For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. So that's the part I wanted to focus on. As you think, so are you. If our people think they are African Americans, Black, European, whatever, Negropean, that's how you will always be. And you will have a self-hate. You will hate your people. Your families will always fall apart. Why? Because you will marry women. I'm going back to that woman. I can't let her go. She's a Christian, right? And as a Christian Black woman, she prays to a white God, which means although she's having sex with you, she can never totally submit to you because her God is her former slave master. I hope everybody understands that. Okay. What do you think about that, Zimba?
Do you know what? I just feel it's deep rooted, and it's a subconscious thing, which is why I asked earlier around why is it important to know that the characters within the books were changed, and that's what I was reaching. That's what I was reaching at, in all fairness, because when people say it doesn't matter, it matters, because what it does is it gives you an image that is not you as superior to you. You know what I'm trying to say? So
right.
Every time you deal with anyone that looks like that, you're subconsciously going to feel lesser of a person because
right.
you have that belief.
Right.
So I think it's very important to really know who you are, because if you don't know who you are, these subconscious thoughts, these subconscious programs will run and take over. You said something else as well, in the sense of checking how, I don't know, you didn't use these words, but in the sense of you've got to check yourself, self-regulation.
That's what examine yourself.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You said examine yourself. I know it as self-regulation. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So learning who you are, regulating your thinking, monitoring your thinking, monitoring your actions, your behavior. Now, I do that on a daily basis. I do that throughout the day because I know that's going to take me either where I want to go or where I don't want to go. So for me, that's what comes most to the forefront when you're speaking on that. It's like we have to learn to do that as a people. We have to learn to, and it's not something that you can just do once and think, oh yeah, I've done it. It's something that you have to continuously do, because the outside world has a lot of things. There's a lot of things out there that can reshape or take you on a different path, change your thinking. So if you're not checking your thinking and you're not creating that for yourself, then it's going to be created for you, and that's just the human disposition. If that makes any sense.
It makes sense. It makes sense. The you've probably heard this before. People often say, like when I read The Color of Christ, like we read earlier at the beginning of the program, that he had hair like wool, his feet like it burned in the furnace. The response from our people is, it doesn't matter what he looks like, it's his message that's important. However, if the wrong image was given to us as a people, you better believe the wrong message was given also. And watch what God says here in 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 4. Paul prophesied what would happen. Watch.
2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 4.
Read it slow.
For if he that cometh preacheth another Jesus,
If he that cometh preaches another Jesus,
whom we have not preached,
whom we have not preached, there's no evidence of a white Jesus in the Bible. Go ahead.
or if ye receive another spirit,
Or if you receive another spirit with that other Jesus,
which ye have not received, or another gospel,
what comes with another Jesus? Another spirit and another gospel. Go ahead.
which ye have not accepted, ye might well bear with him.
We bear with our people by correcting them. The gospel of Jesus Christ is about saving the Israelites from their sins, from captivity, and setting them up as the top nation on earth. The gospel of that white Jesus that everybody's praying to is, you're all equal. I came for all of you. But there's a structure: white, Asian, Arab, black on the bottom. It always like that. And people don't see there's something wrong. There's no equality. Although they'll say, oh, we're all equal. But the white man's always on top, and black people, you always on the bottom. That's your gospel of Jesus Christ. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Hey, you know what, Zimba? The richest continent on the world, as you and I know, is the continent of Africa. But the IMF and the World Bank dictates the monetary system in Africa is next to garbage. They say your dollars is 15 African dollars in some countries to $1 US, or half of England's pound. And it's like, who makes this stuff up? White people, the ones that you say you're equal to. They dictate that. Then they go to Africa and steal, rob. Not a new thing, Zimba. They go throughout Africa now and say, you have to accept same-sex marriage, excuse me. But they don't go to Iran or Saudi Arabia and teach that, or China or Japan, but they go to Africa. Why? To effeminize the man, to keep us weak and under submission. We got to wake up. That's what Christianity and democracy is all about. Keep those people down. Don't ever let them rise up. That's it.
Nah, it's real. It's real. I kind of want to finish up with something powerful. So I want you to kind of, what advice would you give to the brothers that are struggling to find themselves, struggling to hold down their family, look after their family, or even take the leadership role within their family?
Well, this is what we'll go with. Give me 1 Kings chapter 2. 1 Kings, is it 1 Kings or is it 2 Kings? 1 Kings chapter 2. We're going to read verse 1 to 3. Come on.
1 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. Now the days of David drew nigh that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying.
So the same charge David gave his son Solomon is the same charge I'm giving to you brothers. Go ahead.
I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man.
Be strong and show yourself a man. Read. How do you show yourself a man, Lord? Come on.
And keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways.
To walk in his ways.
To keep his statutes.
To keep his statutes.
And his commandments.
And his commandments.
And his judgments.
And his judgments.
And his testimonies.
And his testimonies. Go ahead.
As it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest.
That you may prosper in all that you do. We got to show ourselves men, household, keeping the commandments of God. That's the message. You young men, you want to clean yourselves up? It starts in your mind. Remember that you're the Israelites. Keep these commandments. That's going to clean you up. That's stage one. Okay, Zimba, I hope you got that.
Nah, I got it. I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm with it. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
I hope we can do this again.
Yes, sir. All praise to the Most High. We will do this again, definitely, Zimba. Okay.
Powers and blessings. Powers and blessings.
All praise. Most High in Christ bless.
What is a nation? Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is